I'd like to pitch something to you. We've got a trilogy of movies, which at this point are beyond iconic. Let's number them 4, 5, and 6. I'll get to your questions in a minute. Now, I'd like to make 3 promotional LEGO sets, each of which should depict a memorable scene from the aforementioned movies. How about this? The first set should depict a scene from the beginning of the second movie. That's number 5. The second set should depict a scene from the end of the last movie, the 6th and 3rd installment in the series. And that final set, plot twist, also from the last movie in the trilogy, except this time we're going to depict a scene that isn't actually seen on screen, and instead is just simple enough that we can assume that it probably happened somewhere in the background while the main characters are off in the foreground doing important stuff like destroying the second installment of a fully armed and operational battle station capable of destroying entire planets. Hey, I'm Josh. This is Josh Builds Stuff, and I know I'm being a little unjustly critical of LEGO's decisions at this point, but I'm mostly kidding. If you weren't following, LEGO has released 3 free promo sets in the last couple years, which you would get if you spent enough money on Star Wars sets during those promotional periods. The Death Star 2 battle set, the subject of today's review, is the 3rd such promo set that follows this same aesthetic and size. In this case, you had to purchase at least $75 of LEGO Star Wars merchandise between May 1st and May 4th in order to get this free set. Personally, I put through 2 orders at the same time, the first being the UCS A-Wing Starfighter, which I just built in a previous video, and the second was a pre-order for the new Razor Crest ship from The Mandalorian, which releases this summer. The other 2 sets I have before me are the Battle of Hoth, which was released May 4th as a free promo in 2019, and the Battle of Endor, which I believe was released in October of 2019, also as a free promo. So if you're keeping track, we've got 1 set from Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and now 2 sets from Return of the Jedi depicting 2 scenes which theoretically would have taken place at the same time. Obviously, these 3 sets are supposed to be a part of the same line. They each are almost exactly the same size and scale. They each feature the base plate, which has the studs on the side building technique, and they've each got a little promotional plaque on the front. That's the first thing I want to talk about. You can see that the first 2 plaques are both 20th anniversary plaques, since those sets both came out in 2019, which was the 20th anniversary of the start of the LEGO Star Wars line, which started in 1999. These 2 sets were also releasing along with a handful of other 20th anniversary sets, and so the branding made sense at the time. However, now that it's 2020, that same branding wouldn't necessarily make sense if we put that on this plaque, and so the newest set got a more generic LEGO Star Wars plaque which just says 2020 underneath it. This is actually the same look as the plaques on the new LEGO Star Wars helmets, which I also just reviewed, except we get the name of the helmet instead of the year released. This plaque mismatch probably bothers me a little more than it should. Maybe enough to make me not display these sets together. But to be honest, I wasn't really planning on displaying these anyway. At this point, send out plaques that match the newest plaque, except these can say 2019. Or if LEGO is planning to make more sets in this same line, at least make future sets use the same new style of plaque with the simple LEGO Star Wars on top and then the release year on the bottom. Though if you read through the comment section of just about any video that talks about these new promo sets, I don't think LEGO would feel very encouraged to keep making more sets in this line. A lot of the things I see are along the lines of bring back minifigures as the May 4th promo, that there weren't enough discounts for this May 4th, that these promo sets aren't worth the price you have to pay, $75 to get this little $15 equivalent set. So maybe LEGO won't continue this line, and in the end we'll end up with a mismatch of plaques. Plaques aside, let's see how the latest set in this line stacks up against its 2 predecessors. In my personal opinion, this new set is the weakest of the 3. The Hoth and Endor sets, in my opinion, each have a greater number of notable elements that make the set stand out a little more. The Hoth set has the big AT-AT, the 2 snowspeeders, it's got the shield generator, and it even has a little Imperial probe droid they managed to create out of just 2 studs. Similarly, the Endor scene has a few recognizable features. It's got the shield generator bunker, it's got 2 AT-ST walkers, each of those being built using only 12 pieces, plus they use studs stacked too high to depict characters, And you can clearly see that Han Solo and Chewbacca are defending the bunker while stormtroopers are closing in from the forest. If you noticed, I used the word recognizable a lot when talking about the first two sets, and in my opinion, that's where the latest set falls short. The only real recognizable parts of this Death Star 2 battle set are the two ships and maybe the surface cannon that's sitting between them. Unlike the first two sets, there's a lot more detail on the surface of this build, since it's meant to represent the second partially constructed Death Star. However, in my opinion, you could really have put these same pieces into place on the surface in just about any order, and it still probably would have come out looking like the surface of the Death Star. The ships themselves are pretty good looking. They remind me of the scale of ships that you get with the LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar each year, where it kind of feels like LEGO designers challenged themselves to make a ship that was recognizable while using the smallest piece count possible. However, if the ships were going to be the main feature of this set, I think they could have made them slightly larger and slightly more detailed, maybe more on the scale of the AT-AT from the Hoth scene, or like the ships that come in the little foil bags that you can get in some LEGO magazines, where they're not quite the fewest number of pieces you can use, but you make them a little bit bigger since they are the main focus of this set. Look, I'm trying not to be too critical of this set. It was free, it was a fun little build. Obviously, LEGO wanted to incorporate an A-Wing in this set since the new Ultimate Collector Series A-Wing just came out, and so they wanted this to be a tie-in with the larger set. I think the real problem is that there aren't that many recognizable scenes that the A-Wings were in. You've got the one scene where an A-Wing gets shot and crashes through the bridge of a Star Destroyer. You've got that brief scene where two A-Wings are veering down and blowing up Spaceship Earth from Walt Disney's Epcot Center, and I don't think either of those scenes would have looked great at this scale. So I guess the A-Wing being an Interceptor-class ship makes sense that they pair it with the TIE Interceptor. Here's something I think is a positive about this set. When I was building this, I kept thinking, it wouldn't take a team of LEGO experts to design this set. I could design something like this. Now, think of that same statement, not as a criticism, but as an encouragement. You don't have to be a LEGO expert to design something like this. You could make this set. I know for darn sure I couldn't design a set like the new UCS A-Wing, but I could probably pick a favorite scene from Star Wars and recreate that scene while following the guidelines set out by these couple of sets. Look, I'm not a mock builder by any means. I love following instructions and building things that more talented individuals than myself have designed. But LEGO is giving us something here that they don't usually give us, and that's guidelines. Think about it. If someone handed you an infinite box of Legos and said build whatever you want, you might have trouble coming up with an idea. However, if LEGO said, I want you to build an iconic scene from the original Star Wars trilogy, which is built using this studs on the side base platform that needs to be exactly this long and this wide, needs to be a micro scale, and should have a spot to stick a little promotional plaque on the front, you might just be able to come up with a couple of ideas. In fact, you might have an idea that popped into your head just now. If you did, let me know what that idea is in the comments below. I know I just said I'm not a mock builder, and I'm not, but after these first two sets were released, I even got inspired to come up with a set that matched those same guidelines, and I went about designing it in stud.io, which is one of the LEGO digital designing programs. My first idea was to recreate the Beggar's Canyon scene, which is mentioned in A New Hope, you know, where Luke used to bullseye Womp Rats in his T-16. I realize now it was a little hypocritical to criticize LEGO for building a scene that isn't seen on screen when I picked the T-16 scene, which is talked about for all of 1 second. In any case, this is what I came up with, and I'm actually kind of proud of it. You can see it's the same size and scale of the existing promo sets, and it was a lot of fun to try to make a recognizable T-16 using as few pieces as possible. I even tried to include a little Lars Homestead, a moisture evaporator, a little 3PO and R2, and of course, Luke Skywalker standing on a hill looking out over the twin sunset of Tatooine. I even made a couple different iterations of this scene, where I traded Beggar's Canyon for a sandcrawler and the classic Krayt dragon skeleton, bringing this scene a little closer to something that we actually see in the movie. So I'll challenge you, try to see these smaller, simpler sets as inspirational and encouraging. They're showing you that even you could be a LEGO designer. Like with any creative endeavor, you might just have to start out small, or in this case, micro. I'm realizing after the fact I didn't actually do a lot of reviewing of this set itself, but there's not a whole lot to it. If I'm judging it on a scale of bad to good, I'd say this set is fine. It actually looks a little better when you put it next to these other two promo sets, which makes it seem like one out of a new line of sets instead of a standalone scene. I'd love to know your thoughts on this set. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my overall opinions. How do you think this set stacks up against its two predecessors? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for hanging out. Stick around for the real quick time-lapse build of this set, which is starting right now. See you next time.